guys, it's Alicia here with My Work Basket. I don't usually do much of an intro for a Friday flip, but I have to tell you this Friday flip is my absolute favorite so far. I find the wildest thing in this magazine, and it just straight cracks me up. Like I recorded probably 20-30 minutes ago. I am still cracking up laughing. This one is going to stick with me. It is by far my favorite. You'll see why when I get to it in the video, but this is my favorite ever, and so I just wanted to do a quick intro for this Friday flip and tell you how just hilarious and how much I love this one. If you see a craft that you like, if you see an ad that makes you laugh, let's have some fun with this and just get chatty in the comments. So like I said, this is from July 1974. It features new status for plaster, create your own stationery, safety pin jewelry, sand painting, and I happen to know they have something funny that I love right here: plastic fork jewelry. It has 11 recycling ideas, including a glow lamp, the plastic fork jewelry, tin can decorations, and patio wind chimes. I have quite a few of these popular handicrafts and hobbies for fun and profit, and I like them. They're one of the... I always say this one's the favorite in my collection. This title, this magazine series, I think I say that for all of them. I do like them all. But I do like the popular handicrafts hobbies for fun and profit. They tend to have a unique variety of items. So new status for plaster, and this just talks about like if you've dabbled in ceramics, which would have been popular around this time, try doing plaster in some of the same stuff. And they just talk about using some of the same molds that you've used previously for ceramics and doing plaster and stuff instead, and how to paint them and all that. And some of these, they show how like they've purchased plaster and just painted it. And so a whole article on doing things with plaster and painting it, which is still a very fun craft today. It's always something nice to kind of do if you feel like you're out of ideas, is to like pour some plaster and paint it. Wind song for a summer patio. Have you ever made a wind chime from like old forks and utensils? They can be so neat. And this is an idea that recycles itself regularly. I see it. I mean, over the years, I've seen it constantly. So this is from 74. I know it was in like a 1990s craft magazine. I remember doing it as a craft, either with my mom's craft group at the time or with like a girls' youth club or something that I was in. But this idea of using forks and spoons kind of cycles around, and they can sound really, really neat. So it really is just forks and spoons, usually flattened out and then hung from, this one's a terracotta pot, but I've seen it done lots of ways, and they can sound really pretty. And it's a step-by-step of how to do that, including drilling holes in the spoons handles. And this is a great gift. This is a great craft for like youth groups and stuff. If you do any type of youth group, like this kind of makes me want to do it with my homeschool group, to be honest. I think it'd be fun. And then they do actually make a neat gift, and they can be, really neat. And, especially if you get forks and spoons, if you have a stash, pretty much any parent will tell you they constantly do not have a stash of forks and spoons, but you can get them cheap at thrift stores and stuff. So I ate humble pie topped with mushrooms. I'm not going to lie, this was a little tricky for me to read. I'm not going to say what I thought it said, but you just take a look at that for a second and see if anything weird comes to your eye. It's a little story about somebody raising mushrooms in their cellar, apparently. Here's the Eileen Mercer's Ecology Box. Wonderful things from junk. I like to assume this must be Eileen Mercer. I love this shirt. Like, I would totally rock that. I love the giant flower she's got at the top. Wonderful things from junk. I'm trying to see what this one actually is. It looks like beads on a stick. It is the bell shape. Oh, she calls it an upright mobile. So almost everyone is intrigued with mobiles. Here is an upright mobile of wire and beads that moves gracefully when touched or when placed in a breeze or near heat. The base is a bell-shaped plastic cap from a laundry product. It is approximately 2 1/4 inches high, 1 3/4 inch at open end. The uprights are pieces of 1/32 piano wire, approximately 12 inches long. In this particular mobile, there are 12 pieces of wire, each with 2 beads affixed. The beads in the sample are sculptured. Some are red and white, some are brown and white. The beads used must have small holes. The nearer the size of the wire, the better fit. I'm trying to see how they hook the beads and kind of explain that to you. It sounds like they're essentially gluing them onto pins and gluing the wire to the pins. I'd have to read that in better detail, while I'm not also talking about it. But it sounds like they're just gluing the pins together. A wall plaque from beverage can bottoms. Oh, that's kind of a neat idea. The bottoms of beverage cans, because there are so many types of cans, it cannot be said with certainty that all bottoms will cut off equally well. So they're cut off with a can opener. The cans are not from a soft drink. The beverages comes 8 to a pack. I guess that's a hint as to what kind of bottles you can look for. They use heavy shears to cut the metal. They cut them into petals, so it's essentially just the metal bottom. I'm not sure how well it shows on the image, but they're essentially cut into fractions. Every other petal is bent up. The ones in between are bent down. Vary the shapes a little to make some flatter than others. Spray paint them all. Make a bouquet of mixed colors. I mean, that's kind of neat. This is the thing that I had marked that I've talked about before. Plastic fork jewelry. They are melted plastic forks, and they look like chicken feet to me. They are just the wildest and most ridiculous thing, and I was immediately like, I want to do that because I'm a weirdo. So one day I'm hoping to do this and make my own chicken foot plastic fork jewelry. And then there's a whole section on creating your own stationery. I vaguely remember reading this the first time, and it kind of talks about how, like, anything you can write on can be a stationery. And they just talk about how you might want to put a message or, write your name on it. It has a little quick thing about fonts and scripts. It looks like they actually go into things like using stickers. They talk about using things you can find at the store, like press type at craft shops, new design aids. So they just kind of talk, and they even go into things like screen printing. Worth looking into. New products, Hotline, Sculpey. I'm pretty sure they've changed the box, but I've got to tell you, this is the exact Sculpey box that I remember my mom getting when I was a kid. I was not a kid in 1974, so they must have stuck with this design for a while. But that is like the exact Sculpey box that I remember. And it's so interesting to see that this is like a new product to talk about. The Green Door Studio in Annapolis Street, St. Paul is now offering a catalog of patterns to introduce you to the making of miniatures from illustrated and detailed actual size patterns. So that's all about the patterns you can get and to check out this company. A basic requirement for the safe use of tools is provided by new safety goggles, Stanley eye protectors. I'm sure safety goggles were around before 1974, but I wonder what made them feature that specific pair. Sand painting, old and new. That is a detailed and beautiful sand painting. So this talks about some of the history of sand painting. They talk about some of the different Native American tribes that would have used it. Like I said, this particular magazine line always features a really nice variety. And they really go into a lot more depth than some other magazines do. Some magazines will be like this much of an entire craft, and you're like, that's it? Like, I want to know more. I want to know the history. And this one does tend to go into that. A bottle cheese board. They take the board and cover it with sand. It goes nicely with the sand painting, and they give you the template to use. Junior Handicraft. The Raggedy Ann and Andy wall plaque. They do this on a styrofoam circle with a decoupage of Raggedy Ann and Andy, and then they top it with diamond dust and glitter. Shell earring holders. Take mussel shells that are open but still attached, spray paint them, and sprinkle glitter on the inside of the upper shell, and there you have an earring holder. So you put the earrings in the bottom. That's a neat idea. Give your car a new heart. Installing a used engine in a car with heart failure can do much more than save you money and time. As a family project, it can bring immense satisfaction. I love the idea that they're just like, in 1974, showing this woman changing a car engine. That is amazing. That's not something that a lot of things in 1974 would have been showing. That's really impressive. The idea of a car engine being like a family project is kind of wild to me, but I think that's a neat article to feature. And for the record, I have not personally changed a car engine. I have been around while an engine was being changed, and yeah, the idea of that being a family project kind of blows my mind. Okay, tin can decoration. Oh, this is neat. So they take tin cans from your kitchen, they give you some patterns of what to do, and they essentially show you how to turn them into like decorative things for around, like adding to dresser drawers and stuff, kind of snazzing up your furniture. I think that's really neat. So they give you all the instructions for how to do that and the full size diagrams. That's neat. Oh, okay. All right. So this one, I don't know if it was this exact issue. Cooking with Kathy makes it look like a very normal thing. Okay. One of these magazines, and it doesn't look like it is this one. Cooking with Kathy is not like a standard, like housewife. It has recipes like bear burgers. And it really, when I saw one, took me insanely by surprise. I was like flipping through Cooking with Kathy. Oh, that's probably, and I do read like the recipe titles when I'm flipping through magazines. And there really was like bear and like, I mean, just some of them, the whole thing, they're wild. So this one has fish chowder, which is actually, I mean, I'd love to do fish chowder, seafood chowder, porridge bread, bannock, and slow pokes. Slow pokes are herring fillets of the herring, like breaded herring, it looks like. You clean the herring and take out the backbone. They tell you how this is easily done by first taking off the head, then pressing firmly on each side of the backbone. I'm going to stop reading, but let's just say that it tells you how. You then bread it, roll it up, the whole herring fillet from tail to head, place it in a baking dish, cover with butter and vinegar and water, sprinkle with breadcrumbs, and bake it for a really long time, actually 2 to 3 hours, which sounds really like a long time for fish. Oh, the slow cooking process dissolves the bones, it says. So yeah, I'm not going to read you the whole thing of how they tell you to take the bones out of the fish, but just know that it's there. Attention handicrafters, if you would like to share your handicraft know-how with fellow readers, we'd like to hear from you. That's information from $2 to $10 they'll pay you for being in there. That's not too shabby. Diorama Delights. Oh, that's a really neat one. I love dioramas. I love like the really small, like really well done train villages and stuff. So here's a whole thing about dioramas, how to do them, acquiring collectibles. This one's about sheep bells. So both of these are undoubtedly sheep bells despite the size. However, it's possible that the larger one was used as a calf bell. It's interesting how it says they're undoubtedly both sheep bells, but this one might have been a calf bell. So this whole thing is about different types of bells and their purpose. I mean, it's neat the things that they feature as collections. Raise fruit in your kitchen. The fruit that you raise in your kitchen will not be edible, but it will be highly decorative. You can use this fruit in attractive arrangements with real leaves, such as Pachysandra, or pieces of evergreens which are available all year long. In summer, of course, you have a wide choice of foliage, or you can use the fruit with no foliage at all. I'm trying to see what they make it from. To make the material that will make up your fruit, place 2 cups of table salt and 2/3 a cup of water in a salt pan. So it's essentially salt dough, I guess. Yeah, it's essentially a salt dough. It uses flour, salt, cornstarch. No, actually, maybe it doesn't use flour. So it's like a cornstarch dough, which does make a really nice, smooth dough if you've never made it. So they make us cornstarch dough, make the fruit, add metal for picks for attaching it places, and paint it. So, and they give you some basic tips of how to make different shapes. Get it all together. Finger crochet is easily taught to children. They enjoy doing it, especially if they can make something to wear. It goes fast, and they are not likely to lose interest before the project is finished. I can testify to this. So I have not taught finger crochet. I have, however, taught finger knitting to kids. And yeah, it's quick and it's fun, and there's lots of things you can do with it. For finger crochet, they do the same thing as regular crochet. Like if you picture the method, you just do it with your hands, so it's a little bit looser. It's the same as making a chain with a hook. It's just that you use your fingers. So that's it. And they show you how to make necklaces. There's some instructions for a belt. Some basic tie belts with ends. How to use, they call them a wishbone. I don't know if you can really see that. Honestly, you can't really see the necklace in the image. There's one with a slice of wood. But yeah, so finger crochet and finger knitting really are very great crafts for kids. The Indian look with safety pin jewelry. It says as shown in our back cover, so there is the color image for you. I have seen some really amazing and well done safety pin jewelry. I've also seen some really crappy and not so great looking safety pin jewelry. But there's a lot of patterns and instructions and ideas, details of how to do it. Make a glow lamp. After moving to another state, I attended a welcome wagon meeting where an auction was about to begin. I watched the various objects as they were held up for bidding, but one in particular caught my eye. It was a brandy snifter covered with colored glass. Through its many colors, a candle shone, giving the appearance of a stained glass window. Oh, I thought, I can't afford to pay for that, but I would love to find out how it was made. Several months later, I was invited to a neighbor's home for coffee, and there on her table sat another beautiful colored glass snifter. This one was much larger. I just love your lamp, I exclaimed. Could you tell me how to make one? She was happy to show me, and now I would like to tell you how to make a glow lamp. Oh, interesting. So the first step is, it's going to be a little tricky for us now, is to find a windshield from before 1964 automobile. It is important so that the glass will shatter properly. My neighbor knew a garage man who found one for me. Any wrecker or junk dealer in cars will help find a windshield. So this craft, not impossible to replicate, but if I have a decent windshield from a 1964 or before car, I'm selling it as a windshield for the cash, not breaking it for glass. With good ventilation, the windshield is laid on top of an old sheet or blanket in the garage or basement floor. Using glass paint, you paint it. When the paint is thoroughly dry, turn the windshield over so that the curve is up. Wrap it tightly inside an old blanket. Hit the middle so it breaks. Save all the broken pieces. You glue each piece around the glass. So the windshield glass will mold around the curve of the snifter by just pressing to the glass. So you essentially glue it, break it. You paint it, break it, glue it on. Still a neat craft, but this was another one. I do have this marked, and I've talked about this in a previous issue. Waffle looms. I love to do waffle looms. I do find the tying off very tedious. Like, I feel like it's a lot slower than other ways to do it. But this one had some neat methods of tying and lacing that I thought were cool. Let me try and make sure we get them all in here. And then it also had instructions for how to make your own. And I have made my own rectangular and square looms before. So this was something that I wanted to read over in more detail. But I do love the variety of ways that they show it as tied off. I mean, yeah, like, I personally feel like the tying off just takes, like, forever. Oh, yes. Okay, so this is so great. This had me cracking up. Spotlight on hobbies. I might have mentioned this in the previous issue also. The previous episode where I talked about this issue, because this cracks me up. This man uses lobster claws to make figures, and they are just hilarious. And then this says the man in the middle is Thomas Santangelo. The others are lobsters, and that just killed me because I have a weird sense of humor. So he really just paints these lobsters and lobster claws into, like, they're just hilarious. They just crack me up. He calls them lobstermen, and it's all about how he makes these lobstermen. And they're fantastic. Like, I don't know how well it comes across on video. They even have little feet. I just love these lobstermen. There is an article here about trash or treasure. What's an antique? What's profitable? Hobnob Corner, a chat with friendly readers. All the magazines used to have these, and it's just like, I'm looking for a supply for this. I'd like to trade patterns. I'd like patterns for this thing. Handicraft Highlights, another classic where you send in. And this is hot pad holders. So she makes these hats from, like, tuna cans decorated to look like hats with hooks on them. Old time washboard planter. They do birdhouses and sand candles. Baby shoes from plastic detergent bottles. Some are pin cushions, but I make other styles and sizes which could be used for shower favors. Unfortunately, you can't see too much in the photo of what they really look like. And these guys make bracelets to sell for tuition money. They also make coasters and woven squares. Happy Hang-Ups. Hanging candles. So they do classic sand candles with little hangers. This was really neat. Just the odd shaping of it. I do wonder how, like, could you burn the candle while doing that? It kind of seems like that wouldn't be a good idea. I don't know. Macrame covers to make hanging vases. Is 74, so of course there's some macrame. Handwriting analysis for fun and profit. I told you these magazines feature a fun variety. So it really goes into, she writes about some of the different eyes and dots, and a rose corsage. They show you how to make these taffeta and silk flowers. Well begun is half done. So I'm trying to read. Okay, so what this lady does is, see, she has essentially made a business of finishing other people's craft projects. So one elderly lady had crocheted granny blocks but didn't end up fixing them together, so she fixed them together. A young mother had made the little daisy shapes but didn't hook them together. So she actually started doing where she would finish other people's projects. Cute. Okay, Cucumbers make unusual gifts. Okay. All right. We gotta read some of this. When you plant your garden this spring, be sure to plant cucumbers. Cucumbers, a member of the gourd family, make wonderful surprise gifts. For example, make a list of friends and relatives whose birthdays come in the summer. Then, while the cucumbers are still growing, take narrow strips of adhesive tape and form letters with it. On some cucumbers, tape on the person's initials. On other cucumbers, tape on the words, Happy Birthday. When the cucumbers are picked, you peel off the tape, and there you will find the initials or the birthday message in light green against the dark green background of the cucumbers. Okay, I gotta tell you, I have a summer birthday, and I don't know what I would do if someone handed me a bundle of custom cucumbers for my birthday. Oh man, this one is cracking me up. Like, I mean, I'm weird. I'd probably love like a weird bunch of cucumbers with my name on it or something for my birthday, but that's the weirdest idea I've ever heard. Another cucumber gift is like a cucumber in a bottle. This is like the well-known ship in a bottle. First of all, select pretty bottles with wide bottoms and narrow tops. Go into the garden and choose some tiny cucumbers. Don't pick them. Leave them on the vine. Carefully slip the tiny cucumber into the bottle and let it lie there in its original growing position, only it's now inside the bottle. Place leaves over the bottle to protect it from too much sun. Let the cucumber alone now, and it will grow until it fills the bottle. When it fills the bottle, cut it from the stem. Oh, interesting. So then they essentially make vinegar and water and pour it in, so it essentially pickles a cucumber in a bottle. So it's essentially like a giant cucumber in its own bottle, like one big pickle that you can't pick out and eat. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of neat. I mean, it would be like a really weird gift, but a giant pickle in I mean, I've heard crazier things. You couldn't eat it anyway because it's not properly canned and preserved, but the pickle, like vinegar water, is just gonna like pickle it and make it last. Yeah, that's a funny one. I mean, like that's kind of a neat idea. Yeah, I can, no jokes aside, I could picture people selling that at like a farmer's market as kind of a funny novelty. And yeah, like, then they go into information about how to raise cucumbers. So like before you get these great gift ideas, here's how you raise cucumbers. And that's what the rest of this is about. But cucumbers, great gifts. I never in my life thought I would read those words of how cucumbers make great gifts. But yeah, so I have a summer birthday if anybody wants to make me weird cucumber gifts. These are left like more information about previous things. Vacation collage. They arranged all of the driftwood and shells and things, rocks, clams, oysters, snail, crab, and just all different pieces onto a thing and framed it. Underwater terrarium. That's a fun thing to do. I can just like, this is a type of magazine I wish still existed, just to like picture getting kids off screens, getting parents off screens, and like doing stuff. Because how could you read about an underwater terrarium and like not want to do it? Wood is where you find it. Plate and saucer turned from the desktop material. Alright, so when it talks about how good wood has essentially become a luxury. So they take wood from people who like have logs and things they want to get rid of and different things. This is a lamp made from a burl. This is one of those things that unfortunately doesn't translate very well to black and white photography. Like, you really can't see the detail. It just talks about turning from pine stumps and what's inside your pocket knife. And it talks about taking care of it, some of the different history and types of pocket knives. Making a hearth broom. This one specific one is from Corn Husk. And they give you some quick tips. Classified ads. So, in a magazine that features gifts of cucumbers, you might wonder what you can find in the classified ads. So let's see. Here's a mini newsletter, many features. I'm very curious if it's about miniatures or if the newsletter itself is small. It doesn't really say. Eggers braids. I'm guessing that would be small braids for when you work with eggs. Original Pennsylvania Dutch shoe fly pie. Moist Egglish Delicious. Send 25 cents and a stamped envelope. It must be for the recipe. Yeah. So, Bingo Winner's Guide. Sunshine Magazine. Could your spirits use a lift? I'm not going to lie. I am going to make a note of that. I'm going to look for some of those on eBay because that just sounds fun. Sunshine Magazine. This is exactly how I end up with hundreds of old magazines. Chances are I'll find an issue and it'll be in a lot with a bunch of other issues of stuff, and next thing you know, I'll have another box of magazines because I do that. So lots of recipes: potato salad, sponge cake, cookies for breakfast, discount sewing supplies. So the classified ads are actually, I would say, one of the least crazy things in the magazine. Here's handicrafts. You can sell your finished items, and some of it is still, the funny thing is, it's still like recipes and stuff. So Caro cake, how to mix your own basic biscuit mix. Frederick Frog stuffed refrigerator magnet, $1.25 each, no checks. Frog on a log, frog under mushroom, $1.35 each, and those are magnets. So, more. Oh, here's one for ancient ritual perfume. Indispensable for occultists. $3. Yeah, okay. Quilt patterns. Old time comics. The best in America's comic strip past. 4 big issues a year. So this is, there's a list of like old time comics. It kind of asks. Sometimes it's so hard to get some of these on screen. And I guess they reprint some of the old ones. Old time needlework. I have some of these. I just said I say this all the time, but those are another, like, these are one of my favorites when I find them. The old time needlework and patterns and design. I love these. Good old days. I've tried to actually track down some old issues of these, and I never can. Or I find them, but they're just way too expensive. So I don't actually have any of these good old days, although I would like some. Women's Circle Home Worker. Huh. Okay, so it's based entirely on spare full-time money-making projects at home and how to make money doing that. You know, it features things like factoring your own kitchen, rackets to watch out for, how the law applies to that. I mean, that would have been really neat. If I found one of these now, I would not pay much for it because most of the information is going to be really outdated, but it would be really neat to see. Aunt Jane's Sewing Circle and Popular Needlework and Crafts. 2 great vintage magazines. A year subscription to both for just $3.50. They were great magazines. Women's Circle Home Cooking. I have a few of these old ones. See, I told you, this is how it happens. I see ads for old magazines, and next thing you know, I end up with a box, and there's Good Old Days again. And the jewelry from the beginning. So that is the Popular Handicraft Hobbies for Fun and Profit from July 1974. I thank you for joining me today. This is probably one of my longest single issue flip throughs ever. Hope you enjoyed this Friday flip. There was a lot to talk about. Please talk to me in the comments about your ideas with these cucumber gifts. I don't think I'll ever get over that. Like, just thinking about it is cracking me up. So there's so much to talk about from this issue. Please chat with me about it in the comments below. I'm very curious what entertained you from this issue, because there was so much crazy stuff. So I thank you for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. Have a great day. Chat with me in the comments. Thanks. Thanks for watching.